Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the Football Overseas YouTube channel and welcome to another season of Championship Football. 26-27 is upon us in a couple of weeks' time. So what have we had since the summer months? Well, we've had since the closure during the summer months. Well, we've had certainly a lot of hot weather in the UK. It's been an incredible summer. And if you've been out and enjoying that, I hope you have been having a wonderful time. The summer's not over yet, of course. It's just the football season pulls itself forward into the summer months. So we are starting on the 14th of August. But it's been a wonderful summer, as I was saying. I can't remember when it last rained down here on the south coast of England. At least 2 months ago, I would say. And it's been much the same across swathes of the United Kingdom and swathes of Europe. And I hope you're having a great time too. But obviously a thought for anyone caught up in those horrible wildfires that have started off, particularly in France and Spain. So if you're friends from those countries, I hope you're safe. Everybody you know is safe. It's a horrible thing to happen and have to live with and have to evacuate and all of that. Anyway, I haven't come here for a weather forecast, have you? But I just thought worth a mention on where we are and everything that's going on. So back to football matters then. As I say, it all starts in 2 weeks. I think since the close of the season, we had 6 managerial changes. It just feels there was more than that, but that is a quarter of the league after all. So the first of those, I'll just do them in alphabetical order, was Blackburn Rovers changed their manager, Michael O'Neill, who was on that sort of funny dual role, wasn't he, with Northern Ireland. That never worked for me, but anyway, so that contract came to a close. After the last game of the last season, and Tony Mowbray, welcome him back to the fold after his illness and everything he's been through. Great to see him back with the enthusiasm to have another go at one of the most difficult leagues you can manage, and most stressful ones, I would think. So he was appointed in early June, so he's had time to get his feet under the table and start to think about his squad for Blackburn. Then Bristol City, who had Roy Hodgson just filling in, didn't they, at the end of last season. First 6 or 7 games, wasn't it? Did okay, but it was never going to be any more than that. It was just a fill-in to get to the end of the season with somebody at the as a figurehead. So he came to the end, and they snaffled up Michael Scabula. I hope I've got that right. Scabala, even, I think I should have said. He was the Lincoln City manager or head coach who had that incredible season last year. They completely ran away with League One, much the same way as Coventry ran away with the Championship last year, didn't they? So they completely ran away with League One, but he has moved to what he believes is a better option, managerial option, a step up in the rankings, if you like, and he is taking control of Bristol City. So we should see how he gets on, my club, of course. And then we have Watford and Ed Still. I mean, Watford almost had to be in some sort of managerial sacking list, didn't they? And they're in this one, and they sacked Ed Still, who you remember was the Southampton manager this time last year, and all of that. Yes, so he was sacked at the end of the season, and they've gone for Alessio Dionisi. I hope I've got that right too. And he was appointed mid-June. So he is the new manager of Watford. For how long, of course, is to be decided. We shall see. 3 others. Burnley, they had an interim manager as well, Mike Jackson. He was relieved. He ended that time with Burnley on the 24th of May. And they've gone for somebody who I hadn't really heard of and don't know much about at all, or Nicky Hayen. And he was appointed just a couple of weeks ago, 10th of July. That's who they've gone with. We shall see how they go. Of course, just down from the Premier League last season. Yes, so we'll see how they go. Lincoln City, already said, they lost, or Bristol City came headhunting for Michael Scabala, and he is now their head coach. And Lincoln have gone, you see, I'm never a fan of this dual head coach thing. But that's what Lincoln have gone with. They've gone for Chris Cohen and Tom Shaw as their managerial duo. I never quite get having two at the very same level at the top. I just always think that it's a sort of friction waiting to happen potentially. I may have all that wrong. I don't know these two guys that well or to any degree at all. So they may be best of mates and they understand each other completely. I don't know. But it just bothers me a touch when if it was at my club that was two at the top. And finally, this was of the six. I think this is the most surprising one for me. Wolverhampton Wanderers sacked Rob Edwards on the 11th of June, which out of nowhere for me. I know the fans were a little bit all right. He went there on a complete. It was always going to be difficult for him to rescue Wolves' season even if it was rescuable. I'm not sure it was at that point. They were completely in the mire, weren't they? And they were for all the season. And he did get them sort of picking up a few results at one point, and the football was starting to look a bit better, a bit more, coordinated, I think would be the word. However, they sacked Rob Edwards on the 11th of June, and only 4 days later, so they had someone ready to fly in almost. They've gone for Cesar Pixoto. I wish these managers would have easier pronounceable names for me anyway. So Cesar Pixoto, if I've got that right as well, is the incoming manager, head coach at Wolverhampton Wanderers. So we'll see how he goes. As I say, that was a surprise for me to see Rob Edwards not given a chance to, with his championship knowledge. I know he took Luton down to League One, but I think there was a sort of context to that somewhere. It wasn't just simply down to him. They lost their way a bit, didn't they, after their glorious season in the Premier League. So there we are then. So those six clubs have changed their managers. So what am I going to say about it's so difficult to pick these teams out. So I'm going to go for the teams I've gone that will struggle first. And we always go in first order, don't we? So I think this year could be a step too far for Charlton. This is going to be their second season since they got promoted from League One. Nathan Jones is a very engaging character. He is when things are going swimmingly well, he floats along on the crest of a wave, and everybody sort of swims with him, and it's fantastic. I just see some cracks in him. I think we all have. When things aren't going so well. Last year was okay. They were never really in that struggling mix at the bottom. They were looking vulnerable on a few occasions, but they always had a little bit in hand, you felt, and their home record in the end just about kept them afloat. I think this year they are I think it's such a difficult league. It's incredible, the teams that are in there this year. But I think Charlton may well be one of the ones to struggle. So they're one of my bottom three. I just think Nathan Jones, when things go wrong, he just doesn't have that even keel. It's the graph is either up or down. He's not much in between. And I think you just need a calmer head at times when things are going against you. But I'm sure he'll prove me wrong, or certainly if he ever heard this, he would be probably swearing at the screen. But there we go. Charlton are one of my teams in the bottom three. Another one is Lincoln City, not just because, I thought long and hard about this. As I've just said a little bit earlier, I'm not keen on their double-headed managerial appointment. And they have absolutely walked League One, or they did walk League One last year, which was a fantastic achievement, record number of points, whatever it was. But I just think perhaps losing the man who got them there, and two others having to pick up the reins in a higher league, and it is a significant step. I mean, as people may know who watch this, I live in Portsmouth, and Portsmouth fans have said it is a noticeable difference in the 2 years they've been in, or 3 years now will be. I think at least 3 years in or so in this league, they can see the difference, and they haven't really got going yet, have they? So same for Lincoln, and I think it's a big step But let's hope it's their first time in this league, for goodness knows how many years. So let's hope that they can give a good account of themselves. But you have to make some predictions, and they are my second team in the bottom three, and the third team to make up the three that I think will struggle is Preston North End. Now, Preston are still managed by Paul Heckingbottom, who is showed some good. They started so well last year, but then they just had a slow slide down the league, and particularly towards the end of the season, they weren't showing much form at all. Difficult when you're in that middle section of any league, and you can't go up nor down. But I felt that Preston were not showing very good signs at all, not scoring goals towards the end of the season. They may well start off a flyer again and prove me totally wrong. So they are my three teams to be below the line. I'm not saying they were up with other teams, I'm sure, in the relegation equation. But for me, I don't know who's going to finish bottom, second or third bottom, but it doesn't really matter. My three teams for relegation then are Charlton, Preston and Lincoln. Okay, so then, and what I'm doing, by the way, I'm doing the bottom three and the top six, or the four playoff teams and then the top two, so effectively the top six. I don't really think, as a fan myself of a championship team, whether my team finishes 8th or 18th, doesn't bother me that much, and that's a terrible thing to say, so I sort of take that approach here. No one's, I'm sure, really that interested in who I think is going to finish 15th, 16th, 12th. It doesn't matter. We know it's all going to be extremely tight. That's what we do know. So takes me up to the top six, and we have the four playoff teams. Some familiar names here. I haven't gone too risky, I think, here. I'm going back to, I've got two Old Firm. What I mean by two Old Firm, two from last year. Middlesbrough, who really did, Middlesbrough fans don't want to hear me say this, but they really did throw a fantastic position away and probably should be in the Premier League as we speak, but they're not. And Kim Helberg recognises that, and he will be keen to put that right. I put them as second last year, so I wasn't far off with that one. I'm not putting them as second this year, as you can tell, because I'm already talking about the playoff section. So I'm going to say there'll be certainly a playoff gig come next May. And Kim Helberg did get them playing pretty well, didn't they? They just seemed to lose their way a little bit with the tension, not the tension, but the pressure maybe of the situation. What was in front of them? Their home record just went into a complete tailspin. So they need to get that right. Now, the next one was a bit controversial, possibly, after all that went on in the playoffs. Extraordinary situation where we had Southampton winning their semi-final and then being prevented from playing the final because of the binoculars scenario, and all very sad for the game and certainly for the division, and certainly more so for Southampton. I am a bit surprised that Tom Eckert survived, because he obviously had a part to play in it, and I think he's almost admitted he had a part to play in it. But it would have been unfair just to sack him. There would have to have been a whole group going, really, because if you just sack him, it makes him look completely the only person that made errors or made a misjudgment, and it wasn't. It was a collective in the club, I think. Anyway, let's move on from that. I don't think fans will move on from that as quickly as I'm suggesting we might do. So when they rack up at the 23 away grounds this season, I think they're going to get reminded of those mischievous events, especially when they go to Middlesbrough. Anyway, having said all of that, I think Tom de Eckert did get them. Let's not forget this level of football they played. Nothing to do with binoculars. That is it. It's the standard of football on the field was fantastic at times from Southampton in that long unbeaten run they had to get them into the playoffs. They almost flirted with automatic. Goodness me, what would have happened then? Had they been found out with this? I don't know. It would have been very very difficult, I've thought. So I think they will brush, as a club, they will brush that aside. They've made some good signings, spent a bit of money on their players. So I'm going to give Southampton the second berth of the 4 playoff teams. So that's the 2 old firm, as I say, that were around last year. And then I think 2 of the sides that came down will be there or thereabouts. If they've retained a good bulk of their players. As I say, Burnley, I've got Nicky Hayen in charge, and I don't know much about him. And Wolves, of course, as I said earlier. So both the 2 of the clubs that I've selected here, Wolves and Burnley, have changed their manager during the summer since moving down for being relegated from the Premier League. Wolves, as I say, they started to show a bit of form, didn't they? But it was all a bit too little, too late. Whatever. They were done really by Christmas, or by the counting. And Burnley, doing a bit of didn't really spend a great deal. Tried to do it on that shoestring approach. Well, not shoestring, that's a bit harsh, but you know what I mean. They didn't splash the cash to really give it themselves a proper chance. But because they've done that, gone that way, they will keep the side, or keep the group of players that will surely be good enough to bridge the, to perform in the Championship quite handily, and I think they will be there or thereabouts again if they can get that defence nailed like they did under Scott Parker a couple of seasons ago. Burnley just weren't conceding, were they? Week after week after week. That was exceptional. But I think they'll be good enough. So it'll be 2 from the existing teams that we had last year, and 2 of the relegated teams will be nudging the playoffs. And they're my 4 playoff teams. I'll recap all this at the very end in a moment. So that leaves me with the top 2. Now, my second team, or the second placed team, I have gone for a bit of a surprise. You've got to have a surprise in these predictions. We don't want to go completely down the meat and 2 veg track, do we? The standard. So I've gone for Norwich City to be a surprise in that top 6 for sure. But obviously, I think they're going to take the second spot. If we remember, Philippe Clement took over in October last year when Norwich didn't hardly have a point to call their own. He turned them round. They were the form team for a lot, even nudging Coventry for the form team in the division for a long period of last season. They just missed out on the playoffs, which would have been miraculous anyway from where they were and the start they had. The fans were sort of getting the League One maps out at one point to see where they would be heading this season. So what a turnaround Philippe Clement had. Now, will he have a second season bounce in as much that it will fall a bit flat, or will he be able to continue that in that sort of emergence into this season? I think the latter. Now, their home record was fantastic once he got in charge. It was awful prior to that. But we're hoping then, or I'm hoping, I'm not hoping, it doesn't bother me whether Norwich go up or not, but they're just my selection based on what they did last year, how Philippe Clement changed everything, got a brilliant feel-good factor. I'm sure that's continued throughout the summer. And they'll have full houses every week down at Carrow Road to cheer them on. So they're my team then for a second automatic spot. But they'll certainly be in the playoffs, I think, as well. If not, and one of the other sides might nudge them out. That's the nature of it all. So who is my champion prediction? It's not a great bit of science, really. I have gone for West Ham, as you probably may have worked out. I haven't mentioned them in the top 6. Surely they're not going to be below there. No, they're not. West Ham United. A couple of reasons. Obviously, they've kept together. I mean, Jared Bowen putting his club shirt to the mast in the Championship, I think, was a big factor for them this season. Not just because it's all about him and they're a one-man team. I just think other players will say, okay, if he's going to do it, then well, let's give it a go type of thing. Instead of perhaps looking to jump ships. I think that was an important fact to have happened to West Ham, that Jared Bowen said, I'm in this, we got ourselves in this, let's get ourselves out of it. And I like that approach. And if that is the approach that has gone through the rest of the, I'm sure some have left, I haven't looked at the ins and outs of all the teams. We'd be on here for an hour or 2 hours, wouldn't we? But I did pick up on that. And notwithstanding that, Nuno Espirito Santo has stayed with it as well. I'm sure he wanted to, but there was a thought he might be removed. I think he's a great manager for this division. He knows it. He got West Ham playing a lot better towards the end of the season. They just had too much to do, but they weren't completely disconnected, were they? Going into the last couple of games, Tottenham just scraped away from them in the end. In what was quite a dramatic title race, I was going to say, a relegation battle last season. So there we have it. Will any of that be ticked off? I very much doubt it, but that's my thoughts on the Championship for 26-27. To recap, champions and automatic promotion is champions West Ham, and to be followed closely by Norwich City. It's my surprise choice. My 4 teams are pretty much pretty much standard ones really for the playoff section. Middlesbrough, Southampton, Wolves and Burnley, which means only one of those will go up if that was to be the case, which is, again, that's how I always think of it. 3 of those will be championship. 3 of the 4 that get in the playoffs, they're championship teams again for certain next season, the following season. Anyway, so Middlesbrough, Southampton, Wolves and Burnley, my 4, and my 3, that you have to pick 3 to go down. As I say, Charlton, I think, will struggle this season, along with Preston, and Lincoln just simply on the standard they've been thrown into, and they've lost their manager that steered them there. So they're my thoughts. If you've got any thoughts of your own, please put them in the comments. I will respond to them. I do respond throughout the season. So we all kicks off on the evening of Friday the 14th of August. It's Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Blackburn, so we'll get an early chance to see how Wolves are going and whether my thoughts about Blackburn as well will come true under Tony Mowbray. It'd be great, as I say, great to see him back. Yes, let's see how they go. So there we are. I hope you have a lovely rest of the summer. It's 2 weeks before we get stuck into the action, but they wanted to get these prediction clips up so that people can have a little muse about them and think about them. As I say, please feel free to add your own comments in. We've also got, please subscribe if you haven't done. If you're new to the channel or new to me, please subscribe to the channel and like the channel. Any positive buttons you can click, please do so, and please stay with it throughout the year. The way I do this is just I go through the fixture list each week or each weekend, just give my thoughts on a scoreline for the matches, and that's it. I like to have a little bit of a chit chat about what's happening outside of the games themselves and any drama that we need to report on. So it's not just, for me anyway, this type of delivery isn't just about singing out scores and that sort of stuff. So feel free to engage, please do. I'm going to love you and leave you, as they say. So please look out for the first prediction list, which will be the week of probably somewhere down the 12th or 13th of August. Take care in the heat. If you're in one of the areas that got all this tremendous heat, take care, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again very soon. Thank you.